everyone, my name is Sarah and today I'm going to be discussing with you guys my TBR for the 2020 Reading Rush. So I've already filmed this video once, but I had my glasses on and the lights behind the camera were really reflective in them and I didn't realize that. So let's see if 2 times is a charm. So anyways, just in case you're not familiar with what the Reading Rush is, it is a week-long readathon hosted by Ariel and her friend Raeleen. I believe only Ariel has a YouTube channel, so go ahead and post her videos down below. They are so amazing and I love them. So with that, the readathon basically is just for everyone to read as much as they can within the week span. So for this week, this goes from July 20th through the 26th. And basically you can read whatever you want as long as you read as much as you possibly can. But they went ahead and made it a little bit more fun by adding challenges if you want to do them. And also some Twitter sprints. I don't know what those are, but I also don't have a Twitter, so I'm not worrying about that part of it. But what I will be doing, I'll be vlogging that entire week of me reading. So it might be a little longer of a vlog than usual, but should still be fun nonetheless. And I went ahead and chose a book for each challenge, but I will probably be doubling up because work is working my butt off pretty much. I am working at usually 5 days a week. Ideally I'd only be working 4, but it's okay. So depending on how much I work will determine how much I will read. So although I have 7 books on this list, I will probably only be reading probably 2 to 4 of these books, unfortunately. But hey, the goal isn't to complete all your challenges, it is just to read as much as you can. I picked books off the challenges, so I have more of an opportunity to read books I typically do not read, or to also just read books I love and just get through them fast and make it a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get right into the challenges. The first challenge is to read a book that has the same color of your birthstone on the cover. I am born in January, so therefore my birthstone is garnet, which is a very, very dark red. It's not ruby, it's much darker than that. And I have plenty of books with red on the cover, but I needed a dark red. So for this one, I am definitely going to choose Ace of Shades because it has dark red on the cover, and Emma from Emmmabooks, I will link her channel down below because she highly recommends this book. And I am so excited to dive into this world, and it happens to fit this challenge because it has very dark red here on the bottom, so I say it's fitting. And basically this book is about Anae Salta, and she is I think that's how you say it, and she was raised a proper young lady, but when her mother goes missing, she has to go visit the City of Sin, which leads her on a whole adventure. She meets this guy named Levi who is not a gentleman and he sounds super sketchy, but they have to work together in order to meet their goals, and it sounds super cool and I'm very excited to see what this book holds. So this is for challenge number 1, Ace of Shades. Challenge number 2 is to read a book that starts with the, and this challenge is deceptively hard because some books don't start with the even though you expect them to, and they just don't. But for this one, I went ahead and chose The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen, and also has some dark red in it, so I could easily count this as number 1 if needed also. So doubling it up. I am very strategic in this. But anyways, I've heard amazing things about this book, primarily from like Reagan on PeruseProject. She's the one that really made me want to pick this book up, and it's basically about a society where they use a caste system that's based off of birds. Our main character, Fi? I think it's Fi. She is a crow, which is kind of the lowest of the low, and they are immune to this plague that's going around, and it is their job to clean up the dead. And she has to go on, and so during one of her, I guess, routine jobs, she discovers that this prince and his bodyguard fake their deaths to escape the queen, and they have to go on this adventure, and they make her promises that things will be different when he reigns, and it sounds really interesting. Like, just the society as a whole sounds super interesting. Represented by birds? I would never have thought of something like that. So this sounds super unique, and I cannot wait to dive into this one. And it's also short, so even better. Challenge number 3 is to read a book that inspired a movie you have seen. Well, this one I have a lot of books that inspired movies, but I haven't seen the movies yet. And also, was going to try and double up on challenges also. I'm going to get tons of crap for the one I chose and why I chose this. So, it's not necessarily a book, it's a play. I went ahead and chose Hamlet. And yes, it is a No Fear Shakespeare book edition, which is where it has like the play and then modern English on the other side. I've never read Shakespeare in my life. I am a terrible English major, but I am taking a Shakespeare literature class for one of my electives, and I thought I'd get a head start, and so I don't have to admit that I've never read Shakespeare in my life when I take that class. So the modern English translation is going to help me learn how to read this. So I'll be solid for the class. That is my plan. And so I'm not saying I've never seen Hamlet. The only Shakespeare play I've blatantly seen is Romeo and Juliet. I've only seen that one. So the movie that I'm saying that this book inspired, that I'm kind of stretching it, but The Lion King. I love The Lion King. And I've been told by several people that Hamlet is very similar to The Lion King, that there are similar parts in it, and that this inspired parts of it. So therefore I'm reading Hamlet for this challenge. And this one can also count for a couple other challenges, such as challenge 6 and 7. When I get those challenges, you'll know why this one can also double up for them. And it's kind of short, so I can probably also count this one for challenge number 5 as well. So it's great. So challenge number 4 was a little vague. It is the first book you touched. Well, I'm very familiar with my bookshelf, so I feel like that's kind of unfair to do. So everybody seems to be going to have a little different route to go about this. And for this one, I went ahead and had my mom pick 5 books off my bookshelf and place them in random order on my bed, and with my eyes closed, I went ahead and touched one. And first she ventured onto my mythology shelf, which I was not expecting her to do. But this is the one I chose, which is the Ramayana by N.K. Narayan. It is basically a shortened version of an Indian epic. I read this in my world mythology class, but I don't remember much of it, so either I didn't actually read this book, or I just forgot everything about it, which I would really hate to say that might have happened. So, for this, I'm going to go ahead and probably be one of the first ones there because it's super short. It can also count for the challenge with because it's the Ramayana. So that's kind of cool. And it can also double up as challenges 5, 6, and 7. So this one can really hit all the marks if I need it to. But I'm really going to try hard to read as many as I can, but this will probably be my little cheat sheet book. And I'm looking forward to it because I don't read mythology for fun usually. A lot of the mythology books I have are for classes. So I'm excited, honestly, to reread this book for fun. So, cool. So challenge number 5 was apparently decided before all this pandemic stuff started, and it is for you to read an entire book outside. Well, not necessarily encouraging people to go outside this time around. So if you are unable to go outside or you choose not to, apparently Ariel and Raeleen have decided you can definitely be flexible with this challenge by basically, like, you can put on nature sounds and say you're reading outside of that, read by a window. I think someone else also said like you can paint a scenery of outside and read in front of that. So you can be creative with this one. I live at my mom's house and she has a very nice backyard, so I will be reading in the backyard. And because it's hot and I am very pale and I burn very fast, I'm not going to be able to stay outside that long, so I'll probably be reading some of the shorter books outside. But for this challenge specifically, I went ahead and picked Soundless by Rochelle Mead, who also wrote the Vampire Academy series. And basically this follows Fee? Did I pick characters with the same name? Okay, no, the E and I are opposite. Okay, so I called this one Fee. I'm going to say this one's Phi, because I honestly have no idea how to pronounce these names. Because it follows Phi, who lives in a village where it is soundless. They cannot hear, and they rely on outside source for their food and supplies. But when this supplier basically runs short, hunger runs through her village, and it basically leads to devastation. And then suddenly one day she wakes up and she can hear sound, which is so weird for them. And it's basically her adventure to save her village using the power of sound. So it sounds super interesting. I've had this book for quite some time and I've just never picked it up. I guess now is the perfect time to do so. So I'm excited for it. It sounds so interesting. As someone who is not deaf, I bet I take my ability to hear for granted. So I'm so curious on seeing how a magic system that revolves around sound and soundless works. It sounds so cool, and I cannot wait to read this book outside. So it should work, and it should be hopefully atmospheric, and it's going to be great. So this book can also count for challenge number 7, and this can also count for number 1 if I really needed to, the garnet, because it does have a darker red on the cover. But hopefully it doesn't come to that, because I'd be kind of stretching it, because that looks definitely more bright red than dark red. So we will see how that one goes. Number 6 is to read a book in a genre that scares you, or a genre that you read the least. So first one I want to say the least. No genre really scares me, except for maybe actual horror does. And I was looking on my shelves, and I have some contemporary books that I have not read and that I've had for quite a while. So in order to kind of also duplicate some challenges if need be, I went ahead and decided to pick up John Green's Looking for Alaska, because that's kind of the red, so I can double this if I need to. And I guess I'm somewhat scared to read this because John Green is very loved, and I haven't read any of his stuff because I'm more of a fantasy reader than a contemporary reader. So this should be super interesting. Apparently it follows Pudge, who has a very uneventful life. Then he meets Alaska, who has a very eventful life, and she is very self-destructive and adventurous apparently. And after he goes on this adventure with her, his life is never the same again. I mean, it sounds interesting. So I can't say that I'm not excited to read this, because I am. It sounds super cool. It's just not what I typically go after. The lack of magical element is what kind of deters me. But, hey, you gotta broaden your horizons a little bit, and this is the perfect time for me to do so. So for the last challenge, it is challenge number 7, and it is to read a book that takes place on a different continent. So, said a couple other books can probably do that, and honestly any fantasy book could technically do that because it's on a different world even, or in a different world, which is definitely a different continent, but I'm not going to stretch it that far. Ramiana, or this book, The Forgotten Book, can cover that, and Hamlet also, because Hamlet takes place in Europe, like this one does. So this one's supposed to take place partially, at least, in the UK. It's not in the synopsis. I had to kind of go skim for a place name in the first chapter just so that I can verify that. The Forgotten Book by Mechthile Glaser. I cannot pronounce German very well. I took it for a couple years. It wasn't very effective. Of course, I read the book Jumper by her, and it is a translated work from German to English. So I kind of took a random guess, and this probably takes place on a different continent, and it does, at least for a while. But regardless, this follows our main character, Emma, who goes to a prestigious boarding school, and she finds this book in the attic that whatever you write in comes true. And that comes with a lot of power and a lot of responsibility, and when other people find out she has it, they want it too. So it becomes a problem, and I think there's some sort of other romance in here as well. So I always love a good fantasy romance. So this one, I feel like it follows kind of the trope, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. So I'm excited for that. I love that type of message. And then also Bookish Magic just sounds so good. And it supposedly takes place in the UK. So I live in America and the United States specifically. So definitely different continent across the pond. So this is my Reading Rush TBR. It is a lot, but I'm hopefully going to be able to double these up, but still be able to read as much as I possibly can. That is my goal. I will not double them up until the very end, pretty much. So I'm going to read what I want as fast as I can while enjoying it to the best of my ability. So with that, as I said, I will be vlogging this whole experience. And let me know in the comments below if you are participating in the Reading Rush. And if so, what books do you plan on reading during this? I would love to know. And go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you want more bookish content from me. And I will see you guys in my next video. Hope you're all staying safe and healthy. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And I will see you guys later. So, bye.